Many Christians don't believe in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. Gosh, most Catholics don't believe it. But why? I believe the answer in part is because those who don't believe today are the same kind of people who didn't believe Jesus when he walked the earth 2,000 years ago. His disciples then asked, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? We try to rationalize or use our human reasoning, and doing that makes what Jesus said sound like crazy talk. That his flesh is true food and blood true drink, and we must eat his flesh and drink his blood to have life within us. We think surely that is not what Jesus meant. That is why so many don't believe. But let's break down verse 652 in the Gospel of John. How can this man give us his flesh to eat, they said. But since we know Jesus to be God, for their question to be accurate, they should have stated, how can this man who is God give us his flesh to eat? Now this gets a bit more interesting. Is there anything that God can't do? For those who don't believe Jesus' repeated statements that we need to eat his flesh and drink his blood, are you saying that you have found something that God can't do? I've spoken to many Christians who have asked me, so, do you think Jesus ripped off some of his skin and fed it to the apostles at the Last Supper? A perfectly rational question if you believe Jesus was just a man. If he were just a man, then that is exactly what he'd have to do. But we know Jesus isn't just a man. God is spirit. We learn this in John 4:24, when Jesus states that God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. By claiming Jesus couldn't have given his body to eat, disregards the spirit aspect of Jesus, who, yes, is fully man, but also fully God. Of course, Jesus can give his body to his apostles, because Jesus the man wasn't giving us his flesh as a man, but it was Jesus giving us his flesh as God. He was giving us himself as God spiritually, but also physically, because he is fully man and fully God. Is this a hard teaching? Absolutely. It's the only time his disciples left him because of a doctrine. The only way you are going to get over your unbelief is to stop treating Jesus as just a man. Jesus said we must eat his flesh and drink his blood, and that his body is true food and his blood is true drink. At the Last Supper, Jesus broke the bread and said, "Take and eat, for this is my body." Believe Jesus. Stop thinking as a human. Stop putting limitations on God. Jesus has allowed us to participate in his divinity. It doesn't get any more personal and intimate than the Eucharist. His greatest ongoing gift to us, and yet so many disregard it because it's hard. If this is hard for you, maybe start by thinking of yourself as a child. Jesus said we must become like little children, trusting, humble, having an open heart. Trust in Jesus, trust in his church, and believe.